through some of the diaries I've written a year ago, I can't help but notice the downward spiral all the journal entries took as time went on. These words tell me about a story of a trans woman that started strong and optimistic, but also about the journey's struggle to breathe and unfortunate dead end. Trapped in my own mind, isolated, searching for answers. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? They asked me at an interview, but there never was an answer. Life felt very aimless, with no financial nor emotional sources. A future so blurry not even my glasses could sharpen. So where in life am I now? Was it worth it? Shortly after the Detransition video, I had a job interview, my first presenting as a male again. I had a suit on and a CV with my male name on it. I wasn't being judged for what I am, rather for what I can. It felt strange, but I was confident. With more room liberated from all the worries in my head, I managed to focus on the essentials and got the job. I'm living a completely different life. I couldn't ask for more stability. A year ago, walking down the streets of Rotterdam wasn't anything I could imagine myself doing even in my dreams. Yet there I was. With the ability to afford traveling and a newly discovered lust for exploration, I've been to countless places in these past months, and I got myself a car. It might not sound overly fancy, but to me this is what actual freedom feels like, to see the world without being devoured by paranoia. My social sphere has changed its attitude towards me as well. While I do miss being treated more gently, I do treasure all the deep bonds I've been able to build and strengthen with friends and family members. In my case and environment, most people didn't know how to handle my situation as a trans woman. My lack of self-worth and confidence only added fuel to the fire though. This led to a lot of confusion on how to call me, what I am, and so on. It made social interactions feel tedious on some days, because the same topics would come up again and again, with no answers on either side. Having no one consider questioning or even thinking about my gender identity opened a lot of new doors for me. I get treated normally. Sounds trivial, but I don't take it for granted. Having seen days where people have behaved very strangely, almost like I was someone else, which for some people I probably was, I do really embrace this normality. But don't I feel bad at all? Don't I regret it? Wasn't I dysphoric? Now this is where it gets complicated, mostly for myself. My goal was to upload this on the 7th of August, exactly 6 months after the initial video. I began writing a script and I showed it to a few friends to get feedback, and that's where the roller coaster started. For the first time I was being confronted with questions and arguments to a topic I chose to repress these past months. It took many walks and countless hours of discussions to somewhat grasp what was going on. Initially I did want to go back to life like it was a year ago. I felt disconnected from our world. Not even the reflection on a mirror felt like my own. Narrower shoulders, wider hips, elegant facial features, angelic voices. I was very impressed by every woman I came across. It made me jealous, but especially miserable. At least inside video games, NPCs don't tend to judge me. So for a few weeks I felt very comfortable escaping to the virtual realm again. As a girl, of course. I've never managed to properly put into words why I feel this way. Saying I'm gender dysphoric doesn't satisfy me as an explanation. Since I can remember, I've always had this almost outlandish belief buried deep inside me that I was supposed to be born a girl. On one hand, I have almost 2 decades of experience in the male side of life. Not only that, I also have an unquestionably male body, face, and all the other extras. All of that together makes for a comfortable way of living I've become very used to. And then, on the other hand, I have this inexplicable desire to throw all of that away, grow out my hair, change my name, take care of all the training and procedures to get as close to being indistinguishable from other women as possible, and to live in a world where I can present myself confidently and genuinely in the role of a female. A lot of days I'm torn between 2 identities, but unable to experience either one properly. While a female version of myself does sound amazing by my standards, I've experienced myself. It doesn't have much of a basis in reality. I'm not saying a full transition is unrealistic, but through a lot of conversations and even YouTube comments, I realized it's my concept of what such a life would look like that is unrealistic. Perhaps overly romanticized and superficial. I did enjoy the short glimpse into the feminine way of life, but what I enjoyed more was being able to connect myself to certain qualities I felt I couldn't live out properly as a man. Having grown up in an environment that made me feel ashamed for crying or for showing emotions, and that valued a lot of other stereotypically insecure macho behavior, I joined in. At the same time, in my childhood, I always liked to daydream what being a girl would be like. Peeking over to the girl groups during recess, I imagined they were having much more fun. They were all best friends and supported each other in rough times. It sounds very naive, but that's not the point. After all this, I wasn't looking to live life as a girl. I was trying to distance myself from my own twisted image of the male gender role, while at the same time idealizing women, just so I could live as myself for once. If I could go back in time and revert the entire transition, I wouldn't. The path I took showed me perspectives I wouldn't have dared to investigate, insights that wouldn't have crossed my mind, and most importantly, it brought me to today. Having now realized that I don't have to conform to any gender-related stereotypes or ways other people expect me to live by, I've learned to accept myself the way I am. I've come to peace with being male, though, in all honesty, I just simply stopped caring. Feelings I need to show I won't have to repress. I'll stay true to myself, even if it would require me to wear a skirt or grow my hair long. Gender identities cease to exist for me. I identify as myself, and to me, you're just you, no matter our biological gender. If you're not hurting anyone in any way or violating any rules, why should anyone mind how you present yourself? While it's difficult to find unanimous acceptance in our society right now, I see us moving towards a future where presenting yourself isn't based on gender. Instead, you'd have the freedom between all the colors, shapes, melodies, and all the expressions. No one would bat an eye whether a man is wearing a pink item or whether a woman doesn't feel like shaving her legs. It's something I like daydreaming about. After all, we've moved past the days where gender roles really matter. But that doesn't mean I want you to change yourself if you feel perfectly comfortable the way you are. At the moment, I'm doing quite well in shirts and pants that are typically seen as masculine. The thought alone that I have the freedom to let my hair grow long someday again and wear whatever feels best to me is really comforting. In the end though, humans are very complex. Each of our current life situations can be so vastly different from one another. Some very simple, others so complicated that I might need an aspirin. While a few new insights and perspectives might have helped some, to others it's not just about clothes or superficial issues. After puberty, men will still grow facial hair and women will still grow breasts. Effectively putting people into a role and body they might not be able to identify with. Functioning in a world where you don't know who or what you are can prove to be very difficult, and for some, a transition is the only way. Sometimes I wonder whether that would still be the case if we didn't have any social concepts on what a man is supposed to be or what a woman is supposed to wear. If each of us was just a person. A few years ago, I used to produce all sorts of videos almost on a daily basis. It used to be one of my favorite hobbies. With time, however, I slowly made less and less, until when I finally started transitioning, I also stopped with videos. Too afraid that people would judge me and that I would have to listen to my own deep voice, I didn't have the courage to make any. So looking at this channel and the few video projects I've managed to finish, I see this amongst other reasons as evidence that it's in my current form I can fulfill my ideas and creative dreams the best. So no matter what you present yourself as, if you can live up to your own desires and feel great about it, you're doing it right.
Ah, es ist so schön. Oh mein Gott, die Aufnahme werde ich mir wahrscheinlich im Brühen anschauen.